Welcome back to the Ygartua Art Chronicles podcast, discovering the extraordinary life and career of artist Paul Ygartua. In this episode, we join Paul and Joanne as they come across the inspirational photos of Edward Curtis, and also wend their way through Arizona to Scottsdale. So let's go way back to 75. Let's talk about the little period in 75, 76. Now, you've just returned to Canada.
That's right.
After being in Liverpool and painting the IRA painting.
Right.
So we arrived back in Canada, back to business as usual, I guess, with the Apollo.
Back to work, yeah.
We came back home to our caddy.
We had a Cadillac, pink Cadillac. I did a trade for some paintings with a guy who owned a second-hand shop, and he wanted some paintings. So I said, "Well, okay, how many?" He said, "Well, maybe $1,000 worth." He said, "We'll trade for my car," and I said, "Oh, let's have a look at the car." And it was a '59 pink Cadillac with rocket fins at the back, pink. Salmon pink. Everything was electric. It must have been top of the line when it was first on the market. And it was amazing, and it actually worked. It drove and everything. So I said, terrific. So that was it. We had that for about 2 or 3 years, but we started off with that with Francoise. And of course, with me, with two blondes in the car and me driving it, we got stopped by the cops every week.
Yeah.
Because I looked like either a pimp or a drug pusher or something like that. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You know,
the cop in the end, he said, after about the third time being stopped, that's when the cop actually beat me up.
That's right, we forgot about that.
Yeah.
Well, you're maybe a little mouthy.
He hit me with the flashlight.
Yeah,
and cut me under the eye. I ended up suing him, taking the cops to court.
You didn't.
That's another experience.
Yeah, right. You didn't sue him.
But anyway, that was...
Well, my father took a photo, and he said, "You must complain." Yeah, because that's not... You can't do that sort of thing.
But anyway, that was Cadillac.
I bet there's some good photos of that car. Is there somewhere?
Couple.
Yes, I do.
Sure.
Nothing is good, but we do have some.
Yeah.
You know, that many years back.
We had it run up for the wedding.
Yeah, even for
my
the
mum
wedding.
came over. We drove my mum around in that as well.
Yeah, we love that car.
In today's podcast, we're going to cover... It's a very important episode because it covers various discoveries that will heavily influence your career and your artistic direction through years to come, and it all starts in around 75. So why don't we go back to certain activities in Stanley Park, exactly, where Paul, you were painting and exhibiting. So if we go back to April 75, I think, Paul, you were painting, as you had been for a while, painting scenes and some of the surrealistic type paintings that you'd been up to. So something happened at the Artisan Craft Fair in Vancouver.
Right, yeah.
So why don't we start from there and explain what happened.
We were doing the craft show on 4th Avenue. And usually I'm, working away, selling and painting, and Joanne usually is wandering around. And she found, what was it, Joanne?
Yeah, so Appleby, I think he was...
Rick Appleby,
Yeah, the guy in charge at the time. He had there was a little round table just at the entrance, and he had all these 8x10 photographs of these natives. And I just glanced, and I said, "Oh, those look interesting." And he says, "Yeah, I got these from Edward Curtis's book." I said, "Wow, are you allowed to cut up and sell that?" He says, "Oh, don't worry about it." You know?
Right.
And so anyway, I said, "Well, wow." I said, "These are really..." Anyways, I went through a few of them. I said, "These are really something." I says, "I tell you what, mark my words, Paul is going to be fascinated by these studies." Yeah. And at the next show, P&E, I'm sure he will be doing some of these. And so I asked for all the information, and he gave me the info on Edward Curtis. And on the Monday, I phoned round on the Saturday there, and then on the Monday, there was a shop just down the street from our gallery. We went in, we looked at the Curtis's book. I said to Paul, "I got something special to show you." And he opens it up, and he says, "Wow."
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it actually, I've been doing portraits of characters, for a long time. But I never saw faces like that before, that I really sort of had a spiritual feel about them.
Yeah.
And so I started to think, wow, what could I do with these faces? I mean, they're so incredible. The characters, the older natives, with the wrinkles in their eyes and the expression and the wisdom, I mean, literally the wisdom was just mind-boggling. And you could see their life in their eyes, everything they'd been through, their suffering, everything. So I thought, that was it. I'm going to start doing the paintings. So I did. I started doing 18 by 20s, and not real big paintings, but normal size paintings of the faces. So anyways, I was at Stanley Park, and that was when they actually came to me, the artists, and said, I'm sorry, but you're an agent. You've got 5 different styles out here, and obviously you're not the artist, so I'm sorry, but you can't display your works, display the work. And I said, well, no, they're all mine, and they said, well, no, because you have to you have
prove
to
it.
if you you got to prove it, yeah. And I said, okay, well, fine, and I came back to Joanne and said, oh boy, I'm going to get these guys. I'm going to get them tomorrow.
Blow their minds.
And I spent all night thinking about what I was going to do. And I thought, great. So I got a canvas out of the back, a big one, and started working on it. And I did 3 native faces. And I introduced all the totem carvings in the background, and left most of it white at the background, but these silhouetted came out, the faces came out in 3 dimensions.
They look very modern.
And then, modern, and then the totems were behind the faces. And so I went with the drawing to the park and painted it that day.
Yeah.
And
you got so many people watching you.
So I had 50 people standing by watching me. And in the end, the artist came up, and a couple of them actually apologized and said, oh God, sorry for that, but you're right,
Hats off to you.
And that was great, because that started me doing these large native faces and paintings.
Yeah.
And my gosh,
it was
those days changed everything, that.
They were 3x4s. They weren't larger
mostly
than
3x4s,
till later. But
that's right.
Paul he never claimed to be a portrait artist. He did not like doing portraits for people. He very rarely did. And it was just the special faces that interested him. Yeah. Also with the music as well. But
ethnic faces, either black faces, which I did in New Orleans, or even the Basque faces, some of the Basque character faces. Yeah. I painted those in the Basque country a lot,
But you've not done particularly portraits or...
No, I don't do individual portraits.
People ask, but...
They ask, but
he's not
interested. You don't want to.
Or anything like that.
No.
And you've never done a self-portrait? As far as I
know.
You have,
a couple,
Have you?
They sold in Hawaii.
Sold a couple of self-portraits.
Actually,
very good.
We might have one.
There's one in the locker. We still have.
Yeah. But he did 2 in Hawaii, and I think they sold. Yeah,
but I don't even find my own face that interesting, So it's not something I'm going to be.
It's full of stories and wrinkles. There's plenty of wrinkles there.
Maybe later. Yeah, it's got a lot already. That's true. Yeah. Better paint myself before I pop off, and then I won't be able to do it again.
Excellent.
So anyway, that was that.
And that discovery of those photographs. There's a huge collection of photographs, isn't it? There's several volumes. I mean, it's actually.
Absolutely.
Thousands of photos.
We at that time only came across a few books, and not like the 20 volumes, but...
The main interest for me was not just the North American natives, but the West Coast natives from Vancouver. Because the main Haida chief that I used many times, his was just a face to... you just couldn't believe his face. You can see the wisdom pouring out of his eyes and everything. So that was different. That was a very unusual find.
And because our natives are so important, and their artwork as well, and their sculpture, that people, especially at that time in the 70s, 80s, 90s, they're very interested in learning more about our local natives. And with Paul's paintings, they would say, gosh, we should really be looking more at the history and understand more. So it started conversations.
And the natives themselves were buying my work. They loved my work as well, so they would.
Well, you did do a few portraits for
I
the
did.
natives.
I did do portraits of
their families,
their grandfathers, and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were back in Vancouver for like 1 year,
Right.
and then we're always doing shows. As I said, we actually are sort of non-stop shows. So if it wasn't the Peony or any local artisan shows or the malls and the gallery as well. So then in '76, in May '76, United Nations, it was the UN conference, and that ran for 1 month. And so there's always these extra little shows, for all the people.
Exhibits.
Yeah, art exhibits and things. So at the Pan Pacific, and that's right where our big boats come in and everything, I had the opportunity to get a booth, I believe, for 1 month. And of course, I've got Paul's native work and small works. And this is when I met Lee Gilpin. And he was the promoter and organizer for
American
mall shows
guy.
in the States.
For what?
And mall shows, like in
big shows in the supermall,
supermalls or malls, department store. Well,
malls. Yeah.
So that was really interesting. And he said, "Oh yeah, hey, I like Ygartua's work. Why don't you come and join us in the States?" I said, "Well, sure, it's interesting." He says, "Give me your card," and I said, "Give me your card as well, because I know these guys, they may get you eventually, but when?" You know what I mean? So anyways, I write to him right away, and within maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I get a list of all the shows.
All the different shows
that are coming up. Yeah. And at the time, we have a friend, Joseph, from Arizona, and he used to pop by the gallery all the time. And so he says, "Hey, let me look at your list. I'm from Arizona." And so that we were not considering Scottsdale because we were looking at the LA show. And also it was to do with the timing. I wasn't sure if we could leave that early. And so anyways, Joseph says, "Paul, with the natives, he's got to go to Scottsdale." And so we took his advice, and that's how that happened.
Yeah, because you have the Zunis, the Hopis, the Navajos, everything, every band of tribe is around that area.
Yeah.
So we ended up going there first. That was our first exhibition.
Which we're so lucky
that
we took his advice, actually.
Yeah.
And so we're set. This is the first shows that we do in the States.
That's right.
Like the idea then was to do that, and then we go down.
And we had the van, of course, which we renovated and everything. So
we just stay in that.
We just live in that in the parking lots in the malls.
So it's easy.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically Phoenix, Arizona. Is that right?
Phoenix, Arizona. That's right.
Yeah, it's a suburb sort of Phoenix.
That's right.
Phoenix is the larger city. Scottsdale is
an art center with all
the art center.
Probably about 50 art galleries.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
All cowboy stuff,
for natives.
Western art, Russell paintings, all those kind of things.
Yeah, it's quite special. But we set up next to Hobbit Shakarian.
Yeah, he was a well-known New York artist.
Yeah. He was, how old? He was maybe 30 years older than us.
He must have been 25, 30 years older than us,
But very interesting. And
so anyway, we're there, and it was the last day, right?
Yeah. Well, all of a sudden, I hear these click-clock of these high heels. Click, click, click. And then all of a sudden, screeching. I love it! And I thought, oh my gosh. And here we have this Jody Svenonius, vivacious blonde, running up to us because the native face still was not as big as the one later, but it was the one face. Oh, it wasn't even one face.
It was a three-face one.
It was 3 faces, that's right. Then she starts to tell us that, hey, we're opening up in Camelback, the most prestigious part, of the area of Scottsdale and all that. And we're opening a gallery in January. Come and meet my partner, Carolyn Aretha, tomorrow.
So we went down there to meet her and took a look at the property that was being developed.
Still a lot to do.
Yeah, it hadn't been properly built and everything. And it was a fantastic location, right underneath Camelback Mountain. Yeah. The big golf courses are all around, nothing but $1 million, $10 million homes all over the place. And so she said, it's been built and, we'd like